Hey, what's up? It's your boy djelf7. Today I got a very special guest. Oh my God, I think maybe even possibly, we've had mayors and stuff on here, but I'd say this is one of the most highest profile guests that we've had on the channel to date. Talking with the one and only Mr. I'll let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
James Roguski.
Okay, yeah. And if you guys don't know the
I'm
name,
here to.
yeah, he's a legend in the Tulsi community.
I'm not good with praise. I'm shy. I'm bashful that way.
All right.
I like to talk about facts and information and knowledge and awareness, and we're here to clarify some just confusion. Ed, if you want to lead it in and say a couple of minutes, and then the problem with me is shutting me up. So once you get me rolling, we'll be off.
So
I'll give you the floor for a minute, and then we'll dive in.
ever since Tulsi suspended her campaign, I've been in contact with different people who I saw as high yield, people who are activists, people in the community who are doing things, exciting things, have projects that they're continuing. I'm trying to find out how I can stay involved and make cool things happen. And Mr. Roguski, as I said before, he's a legend in the community. He had a presidenttulsigabbard.org website, which was really how I kind of got started, right? So, Mr. Roguski, my hat's off to you. Your work made me possible. You know what I mean? Thank you so much. So, that's how
Well,
influential he
you
is.
were a ball of fire, and my focus is to try to help people who, if I can be a catalyst to help people follow their passion, that's great. So now I get to talk about my passion. So here we
Exactly.
go.
What is Roguski up to? Yeah,
I,
the world
I
wants to know.
I did a lot of volunteer work for the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016. Love Bernie, love a lot of things, but Bernie 2020 is different than Bernie 2016, and that's different than Bernie pre-2016. That's a whole other hour-long documentary. After the debacle of the 2016 election, I did some soul searching. Thought about a bunch of things. Starting January 2018, more than 2 years ago, I started researching starting a new party because I had wished that Bernie had said goodbye to the Democratic Party and started a new party. Well, he didn't. He started an organization, and it left a lot of people hungry for change. That didn't happen.
By party, you mean
Um,
like political party, like Democrats, Republicans, like a political party,
yes,
right? Not
the
like a party at
duopoly
James'
of the
house, right?
Democrats and the Republicans. Yeah, the
Okay, just
duopoly of the Democrats and the Republicans is clearly
okay.
corrupt on every front.
I agree.
They're they yeah. You can try to take them over from the inside. Good luck to you. Um, that's a noble cause, but I don't have the stomach for that. I want nothing to do with the corruption that goes on there. Um, I learned that it's damn near impossible to start a new party. I'm not a crazy person. I know that the two-party system have crafted the laws so that even somebody like Bloomberg could not buy his way into a new third party. Okay, the existing it's weird. The existing smaller parties are very, very weak, and they're going to be prone to the same corruption because they have the same structure and the leadership. It's more about power than it is putting power in the hands of the people. And so from all of 2018, I was working on doing all this research, and in January of 2019, Tulsi announced her campaign, and it flipped the circuit breaker in my head. So I went and did a lot of the same types of things that I did for Bernie in 2016. I did for Tulsi in 2019 and into 2020. When she launched her campaign, her website didn't provide the resources that I thought grassroots organizers wanted. So I got a domain like in 2 days, popped it up. I'm an optimist. Um, presidenttulsigabbard.org. It's still out there. You can still see what that all was. Nothing to hide. Everything's wide open. I also made a movie, the Tulsi Gabbard movie. So you can go to thetulsigabbardmovie.com and see all about Tulsi. I worked for 15 months helping from a grassroots level organize people across the country, help out with events. Worked with a wonderful local woman, Jane Taguchi, who did a spectacular amount of work on graphics to give resources and so forth. Many other people. If I start naming them, I'm going to miss somebody, so I'm not going to go there. You
Right?
all know who you are.
If I could just get in for
Um,
a moment, just so you know, I
yeah.
actually contacted organizers from all over the country, and I saw your President Tulsi Gabbard org like that in so many signatures from all over the country. Yeah, that
That's
was very
awesome.
influential.
that makes me feel great. I mean, to have some kind of impact, to trigger people like yourself. It's not about me. It's not about the website. It's about giving you the tools that you need so that you can do what you're passionate about. That's
Yeah.
my, summary of what I'm about. How can I help you do what you want to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So you're going in the direction of
Tulsi
the progressive
suspended her
thing, right? You're going
campaign.
off on a new
Tulsi suspended
direction,
her campaign.
or you're giving us a history.
Right.
But yeah, what you're going in a new direction now. You're going on this
Tulsi
progressive
suspended
party
her
thing, right?
campaign weeks ago. She suspended her campaign a couple of weeks ago. The days are all a blur. People are focused on COVID-19 and social distancing, and I'm in my house, obviously, as you are, and everything. But when Tulsi suspended her campaign, it set me free to go back on my path, which was promoting an option for people who are absolutely fed up with the Democrat, Republican, party power structure. We're not going to change the Democratic Party. Good luck to you if that's what you want to do. They're corrupt to the core, and all they're going to do is bring you in and make you think that they're changing and co-opt you and just leave you, feeling disgusted and dirty. Okay, so I wash myself clean of the Democratic Party. I am doing what I think coulda, shoulda, woulda been done by Bernie. Um, I wish Tulsi had structured things so that there was a ongoing permanence to the things that she did. I have no idea what her plans are. Supportive of whatever she's going to do, but she's busy dealing with her constituents in Hawaii with COVID-19. Obviously, people have bigger issues right now. We're blessed. We're able to be talking. We're not in a hospital dying from a problem. So now is not necessarily the moment for people to be out in the streets and spreading the word about something. Now is the time to be with family and friends and taking care of yourself and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But with a plan for the future, I have a website like I had for Bernie, like I had for Tulsi, but this is for a new party. And again, I'm not a crazy person. I know that starting a new party is inordinately difficult. The new party is in name at this point in time, progressiveparty.us or progressiveparty.us. There's a double meaning there for sure.
Link in the description, all right? Progressiveparty.us. Make sure you check it out.
Years down the road, maybe we'll get to the point where it is recognized as a major party to displace the Democrat, Republican, and other parties. This has happened in American history. Parties come and go, and maybe this is the time for the duopoly to disappear and be replaced by a new party. And so progressiveparty.us, there's a lot of information. It's a work in progress. The focus of the party is not to have some hero step up to the plate and try to win the presidency. The party is different, and you have to understand that the structure of it is purposefully different. In 2020, right now, if you haven't already done it, go on to the U.S. Census, fill out your information. They're taking the 2020 census, and based on the numbers that they get, the congressional districts are all going to be reshuffled. Now, we know that some of them are going to get gerrymandered, and it's, that's a pain in the ass. That's a whole other issue. But the projections right now are that 10 states are going to lose a district, California, New York, and 8 more. The other projections are that 7 or 8 states are going to gain a district. Texas might gain 3, Florida might gain 2. But you have to realize that even within states that don't gain or lose a district, populations move and shift, and it's possible that every district in the country could get redrawn. And so the election,
that affects the House of Representatives the most? The House of Representatives gets completely
correct.
flipped around?
It remains to be seen, okay? Certainly, if a state like California loses a district, goes from 53 to 52, every single district in the state has to be redrawn. Yeah. So, the district you currently live in may change, it may stay the same, and the incumbents, are going to get shuffled. And it's possible that that's going to happen in every state, just because populations move and the districts are supposed to be balanced and so forth. The election that comes after a census is a watershed opportunity because everything's changing, okay? The projections are that there's going to be 10 districts where there cannot possibly be an incumbent because states have gained population, they're going to get an additional district. Wow, this is an opportunity for people to step up to the plate and say, look, we're tired of Democrat versus Republican. I won't name names, but I'm working with a person who's running a campaign, and the person that is running as a candidate, their perspective is, I'm not supposed to toe the Democratic Party line. I'm not supposed to toe the Republican Party line. I'm supposed to listen to the people in my district and represent them, whatever the hell that may be. And it galls me when I see people go to town halls and they go, oh, presidential candidate, how are you going to save us? It should be turned around. Those town halls should be where the candidate sits their ass down, the people are front and center, and they talk to the candidate as the boss of that candidate, which we are. They work for us. Here's what we want you to do, okay? Now take an issue like homelessness. You know, most every district in the country has a homelessness problem. Certainly in Los Angeles, New York, you know, it's a big issue. Well, we shouldn't be going to the candidate saying, like Elizabeth Warren, not to pick on her, she's got a plan for that. Well, that's fine and dandy, but what did the people want you to do? Why is it that we're looking to our candidates to tell us what they're going to give us? They need to be subservient to us. We tell them what we want. And people need to step up and speak their mind and speak truth to power, not, you know, hope for crumbs to fall down from, you know, whatever government is going to give us. So along those lines, the concept behind progressiveparty.us is not a top-down organization. There is going to be no analogous DNC. There's not going to be a PNC, a Progressive National Committee, that sets, you know, how everything's going to be run for everybody in the party. This is meant to be a grassroots group, organization, where people start thinking ahead for the future, and they start organizing, networking, making connections, talking to people local to you, with an eye to the fact that in late 2020, they're going to have the census. In late 2021, early 2020, they'll probably push it to make it be as late as possible, to, you know, make it as hard as possible. New maps are going to pop up, and you're going to then be able to determine what district you reside in. And I want to have people all over the country who are connected to local fellow, you know, progressive-minded people, so that they have an organization and they have a network of connections. I don't want a big database controlled by the candidate or controlled by the party. Every individual district organizer and local, you know, activist should be thinking ahead, making connections locally, so that if somebody who's, you know, part of what we're doing here wants to step up to the plate, or they want to encourage a local person, you know, who's just fed up with it's always Democrat and Republican, we need to have somebody new come in, to have people run as independents. We're not asking people to change their registration to the Progressive Party. That's down the road. I understand the crazy impossibility.
Can I get a question right here?
Please.
So there's already like quite a few people that are already frustrated with the two-party system. So there's other, like, you know, Greens, Libertarians, you have Reform Party, Constitution Party. There's all these other parties that exist out there. Why should people join the Progressive Party versus all those other third-party options?
I actually did some homework last night. I had sent it to you in our last meeting. I sent you the results from just as an example, the California primary that happened back in March. Okay, we have 53 districts in California. Okay, the Green Party only ran a candidate in 2 districts. The Libertarian Party only ran a candidate in 2 districts. The Peace and Freedom Party only ran one candidate in one district. There were 19. It's called no party preference in California. People call it independent. That gets confused because there's an American Independent Party. There were 19 people who are unaffiliated with no party. Okay, so in the course of doing my research, I realized that there's a weak link in the in the big party duopolies system, where Bernie Sanders is actually the perfect example. Not necessarily his policies, but his electoral success. 20, 30 years ago, whatever the time was that he first ran for Congress, he said, screw the Democratic Party, screw the Republican Party, screw, quite frankly, the Progressive Party, screw every party. I'm running as an independent. And he talked about the issues. If you have somebody who you agree with on the issues, you can throw party to the side, okay? Now the problem is, you're in the Democratic Party, you gotta, kiss the Democratic Party's ass. Same with the Republican, Green, everything else. We're looking for independently minded people who have the balls to speak truth to power. We want to have a support network so that when they decide that they want to run for office as an independent, they don't have to register, in many, I think it's 19 states. When you register to vote, you're in New York, I'm in California. Our states are different. In 19 states across the country, they do not ask you what party you want when you register to vote. You just register to vote. There is no party registration, okay? And so the whole point is we're against party structure, against party politics, against having to kiss the party's ass to get on their ballot. What I learned and what triggered this whole thing is that in the 50 states, there are specific rules. Most of them are you either need to pay a small fee to get on the ballot as an independent for Congress, or you have to get a certain number of petitions, or maybe a mixture of both. In California, the rule is that you have to pay $1 or get one petition signature for each $1,000 of salary that the position pays. So a congressperson currently earns they receive, whether or not they earn it, that's another question. They receive $174,000 salary. So you have to get 1,740 petition signatures, or you have to pay $1,740, or a sliding scale prorated, you get 1,000 signatures, you got to pay the difference, or vice versa. I want to have 1,740 people ready to sign somebody's petition to jumpstart an independent candidates into the race, so they're not wasting time trying to get an organization together. Now, I'm not going to tell people who's going to run here and who's going to run there. The individual groups, the autonomous units, the grassroots organizers in each congressional district will democratically decide, who they may want to support. Okay. Now, it's possible that there might be a Green candidate that is, wonderfully progressive, and why run an independent against somebody that you already agree with? Okay. But the Greens only ran two districts. The Libertarians only ran 2 districts. The Peace and Freedom only ran 1. Okay. And I never heard of any of these people. So, what are they doing? Maybe they have a party, but they don't have a grassroots, on fire organization to actually help that person win. In California, there were a couple of open districts, and there was 1 or 2 or 3 competitive races. But basically, it was a rubber stamp. The incumbent's going to win right now because there isn't any organized progressive independent movement. Now,
I just want to slide in a question right here, yeah? You've been talking a lot about California, and I know you actually have a group of people you're working with out there in California. You know what I mean? You got a pretty solid squad. Out of the Tulsi Action Group, the California team represents a sizable portion, a disproportionate portion of our membership right now. And I think that, you kind of deep in
obviously reaching out to, Tulsi supporters, anybody who's like-minded. Use New Hampshire as an example. Okay?
Yeah.
New Hampshire has a large independent voter.
So that's exactly that's exactly where the question was headed, right? Like, are you right now? I know you guys are doing things in California. Is this a national project? Is this a local project? A local growing international project? Where are we at right now?
It's absolutely a national project. And when you look at the numbers, and again, this is all on the website, progressiveparty.us, um, most people are aware that maybe 25% of the population identify as Democrat, 20-some% identify as Republican, nearly 50% identify as independent, unaffiliated, no party preference, whatever. It's a plurality. It's getting close to being a majority. But after, what's going on right now, from a perception standpoint, okay, Democrat, the brand is toxic. I'd be embarrassed to tell somebody I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat, okay? I would be embarrassed to say so. There are people who are proud Republicans, but then, it's like, well, I have certain ideals, but Trump, right?
Yeah.
Libertarian and Greens, they have serious brand, problems. Their brands are damaged in many, many ways. Be that as it may, when I went to vote for Congress in my district, I'm in District 28, and I am very unhappy that Adam Schiff, is my representative.
Wait a minute. That claim that the Green Party and the Libertarian Party are damaged, what do you mean by that? How are they damaged? Perception? Because if you take a look at the word progressive, right,
okay.
that could also have a certain perception as well.
Progressive name is damaged too, and we'll certainly talk about that. Can I get an amen, hallelujah, that the Democratic and Republican brands have their problems? Can I get a nod of the head? That
I mean, yeah, I'm not really cool with they're both super corrupt, and this is obvious. You know what I mean?
Okay. Libertarians have wonderful ideals, but they're often seen as not serious. Not serious. Now, that's not my opinion. I'm saying, how does the average person see the brand? With the Green Party, they have a lot of wonderful policies, but unfortunately, AOC borrowed their Green New Deal, which they had a decade ago, and used a lot of fear-based propaganda to, make it seem like if you don't support our takeover of, the entire industry of energy, the world is going to come to an end, okay? And argue what you want, that's a whole other video. She basically stole their brand and damaged it, in my opinion, okay? I have my opinions about what we should be doing with energy and all that sort of stuff, but the point is, they're not super strong, and they're facing the same problems that any party would have with organization and power structures and all that sort of stuff. And when you look at what would be a powerful brand, when I went to vote for congressperson, I knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that there was no way on God's green earth I was going to vote for Adam Schiff in my district, okay? So when I got my sample ballot, I looked at, who was running, and there were some interesting candidates running as a Democrat. There were a couple of Republicans, and there was a no party preference, unaffiliated, independent person who's a community organizer. She got my vote.
Actually, I have to say, right here, yeah? Actually, in California, you guys have a lot of no party preferences, but I'm not sure that phenomenon is true across the nation. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely incorrect.
Oh, it is? I don't know. I really don't know.
The numbers are enormous.
Oh, really?
Okay, the numbers are enormous. But what happens is the people who are no party preference, they might sympathize, lean Republican, lean Democrat, but it's almost an oxymoron. I mean, you literally cannot have an independent party. It's an oxymoron. If you're a member of a party, how are you then independent?
And then this is kind of strange, though, because you also have this progressive party, right?
Understood.
But is it a party or not? Well, so I'm confused. What's going on?
Down the road, because it takes a long time, because the rules are just messed up, it's a long-term goal. Okay?
How long is long-term? 5 years?
Decades.
10 years?
Decades. Long-term goal, okay? It could happen fast. Abraham Lincoln wiped out the Whig Party, and presto, you got the Republican Party, and the Whig Party died in the span of a couple of years. I'm not saying that's going to happen. What I'm saying is, I identified that people are sick and tired of Democrats, Republicans. If I look at somebody and they have a D by their name, it causes me to have certain assumptions about them. They're not necessarily positive. If they have an R by their name, or libertarian or green, I'm going to be more likely to look very closely at a libertarian or a green or a peace and freedom party or family workers party, that kind of thing. But when somebody has the word independent or unaffiliated or no party preference, the plurality of Americans identify as such.
True.
They don't want this party politics crap.
But they also don't vote.
That's somewhat of the problem. The people who don't vote are actually the people who are not even registered, okay? And so the issue comes down to ballot access, okay? If you want to get ballot access and be on the Democratic or Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, you're associating yourself with a corrupt organization or an organization that has a branding issue. I see the most powerful brand moving forward, a representative who says, I'm independent of this party crap. I'm here to represent the will of the people. Progressivism is also got problems with how they've been misbranded, because people who have ideas that are not progressive have taken to calling themselves progressive, which leads us to what I really want to talk about, which is to clarify what the heck progressive means. We talked about screen sharing. Let me see if we get this up here, and tell me if you're seeing what I really want to be talking about here.
I do see it. Yeah, I see. I see on the screen. I see at the top it says fascism.
Okay. This is all on progressiveparty.us. What is a progressive? Okay. Shifting gears here. Let me summarize what I have said so far. I see a phenomenal opportunity for local grassroots groups who identify truly as progressives based on the discussion that we're about to have, who organize locally according to restructured congressional districts in advance of the 2022 election, and are prepared to have an independently registered person. There will be no registration as a member of the Progressive Party. You're a member of the Progressive Party if you share our ideas and our goals, okay? You could be Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, anything else, but ideally, if you are running as an independent, the ability to get on the ballot is actually easier than it is to try to get onto with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, because you don't have to kiss their ass. You just have to go get some petitions, pay a small fee, and boom, you're on the ballot. Okay? What's been missing is the support structure, to organize those independents. Now, what is a progressive? This is all on the website. All of this information is factual. This is a summary of it. And many people have seen charts, right and left. If you look at this chart, right and left do not mean what people think it means. Right comes from the French Revolution, where the people in the assembly who wanted the status quo, they supported the existing situation, they were on the right side. The people who wanted change and ultimately revolution were on the left side. Right means tradition. Ultra-right means nostalgia. You want to go back in time to what things used to be.
Yeah.
Left means you want change, you want to progress. And if you're far left, you want to burn it all down. Okay? Now, there's another axis, up and down, between freedom and liberty and control. And this is where people get confused, because some people want tradition and nostalgia and they want more freedom, but some people want tradition nostalgia, and they want more control. So it gets confused because people on the left might want more freedom and they're headed towards anarchy, or they might want more control and they're headed towards socialism. So the words have meaning and the words have been adulterated, and people use these words, and it's people are not able to communicate. If you go all the way back to 1912, when Teddy Roosevelt, who was actually a Republican, broke away from the Republican Party and ran for president, he started the original Progressive Party. And at the time, in their platform, their party platform, he said very clearly that the political, important political action of the day was to break the unholy alliance between government bureaucracy and corporate monopoly, and to return power to the people. So if you look in the bottom right corner, progressivism seeks to take power back from the fascist alliance among government bureaucracy, mainstream media, and corporate monopolies, and return power to the people. Now, Benito Mussolini defined fascism as the alliance between government bureaucracy and corporate monopolies.
Oh, that's interesting, because I actually had got into a pretty deep conversation with that with one of my. I have a buddy who is actually in Antifa, yeah, and the thing is that he also makes this argument that it's defined as the corporate power. But when I looked up Mussolini's definition of socialism, that's only one way that he defined fascism.
Not socialism. Fascism.
But the corporate tie, right, to the government. That's also what my friend says. But then you have to find what a corporation is. You know what I mean? Like, is any cooperative endeavor considered to be a corporation? That it really leads into a crazy whirlwind. But this Progressive Party, it seems pretty good. I already it sparked some questions for me. So I do see that you're trying to return the power to we the people and take back control, I guess. Am I right? Like on this fascism control dichotomy, right? It's like an axis. We're trying to move towards the freedom from control element, right?
Yeah.
So more towards liberty, freedoms.
Let me say something that's very, very important. And on the website, this is discussed right below this graphic. If you go to progressiveparty.us/what is a progressive, nobody is pure in the sense that they are a corporatist or a conservative or a libertarian or a revolutionary or an anarchist or an Antifa or a socialist or progressive or liberal or any of that stuff. Anytime somebody, you asked me this before we started talking, that person's not a progressive or that person's a true progressive, okay? Anytime you hear those statements, somebody says you are or you are not this or that, that's a slander, that's a slur, that's a smear, okay? It's an ad hominem personal attack. It's not based on facts, because what you have to do is you have to say, all right, in regards to a specific issue, okay, what is your opinion? What policy would you support? Now, I'm, promoting the idea of a progressive party, people with progressive ideals, because you want to progress, you want to have improvement, right? But I'm beyond traditional, I'm nostalgic on some issues. I'm far right, if you understand what that meaning is, in terms of I want to go back to the good old days when we supported small family farms, small businesses, where there was a free press, where you could start up a newspaper and you could spread the word. That's beyond tradition. That's going back to the future, to the good old days. Technically, that's a far right viewpoint. That's not how people understand far right to be. Tradition to me is not, traditional medicine is absolutely not. You go to the doctor for 5 minutes, get a prescription, and go buy a pharmaceutical drug, to hide your symptoms. Tradition to me is you go talk to the, wise woman, grandma, and she goes out in the garden and gives you some food and tells you to take, rest and get some sleep and go take a
and there's definitely this path that happens where a lot of where a lot of, especially I feel like academics, they try to like redefine things, and now this new thing like libertarian with a capital L, little L. I find that all like quite
Okay.
tedious.
So
But
here's the point. When somebody tries, and I'll broach this issue in regards to Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, a number of people tried to label Tulsi Gabbard, and at one point she said, I don't like labels. Don't try to label me. And she answered the question, but not as well as I would have hoped that she had answered the question. Okay, when you take an issue,
I mean, I love
and
Tulsi still, but I have actually on this chart right here. So where does progressivism fall? I know it's away from the fascism control, more towards liberty freedoms. But now I'm confused. Is it revolution or nostalgia, or kind of like it's allowed to be both?
The point is, there's a question that you ask. Okay.
Yes.
Is it seeking to improve the situation, so it's progress, and is it taking power away from government bureaucracy, corporate monopoly, mainstream media, and giving that power to we the people? So this is not a one-word answer. I know people love one-word answers, okay? But you can't, if anybody labels me a progressive, I'll say, well, mostly, okay? But let's go to socialism, all right? Socialism has basically been accepted as, we want the federal government to be in control of something. Well, socialism can be on a community level too, where, for the good of society. And so if you look on the bottom left part of the purple ellipse, community organizations and cooperatives, okay? I'm quite happy that my local government runs the fire station.
Okay, but I have a question, right? Because when you said bottom left, I went all the way to the bottom left and I saw anarchy. So I see community organizations, cooperatives, so I feel good, but then I see anarchy, I'm like, what? So why is anarchy on the very bottom left? What's that doing over there?
Okay, if you want extreme freedom, okay, you're headed towards anarchy. You don't want any control. It's the opposite of control. It's complete and total freedom, okay? And it's the opposite of corporate monopolies, right? But when you have, anarchy, the problem with libertarianism and the version of it in the United States is you have to address the concept of corporate personhood. We're talking about liberty and freedoms for people, not for corporations.
Yeah, the definition's all messed up.
What I'm getting at is any question you raise, people fall somewhere on the spectrum between the good old days, the nostalgia of how it used to be, and just ripping it all down and shredding it, put on your yellow vests and storm the Bastille, okay? But you don't feel that way about every single issue, okay? There's some minor tweaks around the edges.
But where would this progressive fall on the scale? Like tend to fall? I mean, yeah, I get sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way, but where would they generally fall?
It's very simple. It's a good question. It's very simple. Take any issue, and you go, what is it that the policy that you're discussing does? Does it take power away from corporations,
from the establishment, from the corporations,
bureaucracy, government bureaucracy, and the media, and bring control into the hands of people on a local basis? All politics is local, okay? So here's for instance, I think almost everyone would agree, the vast majority of people would agree, especially in California and New York, homelessness is an issue. It's a problem, okay? Well, do you want that problem to be solved by corporations, building skyscrapers that they control and charge the rents, to house homeless people? Do you want a government public housing, projects like, you go back to 70s TV shows? Do you want to live in the projects? Okay. There have been things in Los Angeles where, people have purchased and built tiny homes to give to, homeless people, and the government has regulated it away and taken them away and destroyed them. Okay.
Look, okay, so I understand there's a lot of problems out there, right? I understand there's a lot of problems out there, but for anybody who's watching, if they're thinking about like some of this stuff is making sense to them, right? They're like, no, like I don't like the corruption, or like, like I this idea of being no party preference appeals to me, right? What can you offer them, right? Why would they join the Progressive Party? Well, we could go back to the definition, right? What to make sure that they're really qualified, and I guess that will be a later video, like why they should join your movement, right? But let's finish up this idea of what is a progressive, and then let's
Well,
move on.
if you go to progressiveparty.us and anything there resonates with you, we're not about forcing people to change their registration. If you're a member of the Democratic Party and that's where you are and that's what you want to do because you want to go in there and try to fix it, well, more power to you. Okay, same thing with Republican and other parties. What we're saying is that already nearly 50% of the country do not identify with any of those parties. What they identify with is the little guy getting screwed by big government, big corporations, and big media. And so if you identify as somebody who's, looking at corporations like, Facebook and Twitter and CNN and MSNBC and social media and mainstream media, blocking information that you think is important and a well-rounded, bit of information, they have absolutely fascist control in cooperation with government bureaucracy and corporate monopolies. I'll tell a slightly off-color story. I think I've told you, I've told a couple of other people. Short version of a long story. 20-some years ago, I had a formative experience. I got into a discussion, argument, debate with a local television station management. And we stopped the meeting. They go, hey, let's cool off. And the president of the television station, the local CBS TV affiliate in Providence, Rhode Island, pulls me aside. He puts his arm around me. And, he was 15 years older than me or so. He goes, hey, kiddo, let me help you out here. We don't give a fuck about our viewers. Our advertisers pay the bills around here.
I get that, yeah.
I learned my lesson 25 years ago. The media is meant to control you on behalf of government bureaucracy and corporate monopolies. Now, if you disagree with that, I would say that there's some things you might look at on the website that will raise your awareness. Okay. And so the website has a lot of information already. It's a work in progress. There's still more. I encourage people to look at the information on the website, raise your awareness. If you disagree, send me your suggestions. If you have additional information, send it. We'll add it. But the core, to rewind what this is all about, is to understand that each person is conservative on some issues, okay? Conservation, not wasting energy, not wasting materials, not, being a consumer society, okay? Some people are for liberty and freedom. Women should earn equal pay for equal work, and LGBT community should have all of the same rights and freedoms that anybody else. And, black, white, brown, any other color of the spectrum. There's issues where people are revolutionary. They think everything is so screwed up. They need to get into the streets and protest because they want to tear it down. They're so fed up with it. Nobody feels that, any of these ways universally on everything. And so when somebody says, oh, you're right wing or you're left wing or you're a socialist or you're a Nazi or this and the other thing, that's an ad hominem attack. It's a character assassination. We've seen it against people that we support, and many people do it against people that they oppose. You have to understand what progressive means, going all the way back to 1912. Progressive means you look at each individual issue and you say, is the solution to that issue bringing hands down to the local level for people? Are you supporting small business and small farms and a free press and community organizations? Okay. Or are you just taking government money and giving it to corporations? Look at the bailout. How the hell is that progressive? Oh, yeah. Throw a pittance at the people, but all of the control is going uphill. And so many people claim that they're progressive, but no one on the planet is progressive on every issue. A lot of people who are actually socialists and are for big government, okay, claim to be progressive, but they want to take power away from people
Wait,
and
actually,
put
that
it
gives
in
me
the
a
hands of
question, right?
government.
So the thing is that, right, like you're saying a lot of people are misusing the term progressive. Now, some
Absolutely,
of
it's a
this may
problem.
be on purpose, the way you're suggesting right now. Some of it may be by accident, yeah?
I think it's mostly by accident. I think
Okay.
it's mostly by
So,
accident.
I think that earlier you said, like, like on your diagram right here, right, there's several axes, right? You have one axis at the
Right.
top and the bottom, you have control versus liberty freedoms, and left, right, you have revolution versus nostalgia, yeah? But when we talk about the progressive thing, also like the way that different people perceive progressives, right? If you're someone who's socially conservative, you might have a certain misunderstanding of what progressive means. That tends to be
Allow me,
happen more often than
allow
yeah.
me to raise a very important point on that. Socially conservative. Okay, conservative is a word in that regard that doesn't serve properly. Okay, a social conservative um, is different than someone who is socially traditional or socially nostalgic. Okay, now right now, what is the tradition? It all depends where you are. It all depends on your culture and your environment. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, well, they were raised a certain way. They were raised to have certain beliefs based on their religion and their community, but they've shed those traditions. Okay, they consider themselves conservative, but they're open to liberty and freedom for all people.
No, I just
Now,
realized how erroneous my question was. It was a horrible because you're absolutely right. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was just a horrible question. I'm so sorry about
when
that. Yeah.
no, and it's fair because that's how the language has been manipulated,
Yeah.
so that when you, my example for this,
Because
okay,
my question should have been like, what do you think like a caricature of a social conservative would think about this? You know what I mean? But that right there is like defeating the whole thing
even with
right
that,
there.
you have
So, thank you for
you,
pointing that out.
when you generalize, okay, this by necessity gets granular, it gets specific. When you start calling people names, whether it's socialist or progressive or conservative or liberal or Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, so forth and so on, that is a label that is used aggressively to confuse the issue. And
That's true too. Yeah.
I'll pick a green issue to talk about. Okay, if
Interesting.
I say the word tree, everybody listening to this video will have a different vision in their mind.
Okay.
Okay, so if I say to you, Ed, when I say the word tree, it conjures up, a couple of visions. We need to have a discussion so we actually communicate and we understand what we're talking about. When somebody says, um, I'm worried about the environment, well, they might be worried about, plastic killing turtles. They might be worried about living next to um, a
Okay. I mean, rather than these
refinery, and
examples, let me just cut back to it, right? Because I know you said you want
sure.
to keep it 20 minutes. We're already on 50 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
So,
know. I knew I was going to go that way.
yeah. Okay. So the thing is that when we talk about progressive, is there another definition of progressive that's floating out there that might challenge yours or is significantly different, or are you just clearing it up for people? Because everything you said to me makes a lot of sense and it matches what I think of as a progressive. But maybe people out there just haven't had that sense of clarity. And like laying out the different axes, that was educational for me, right? Maybe that's really the major hurdle. But you're right. It is used in an aggressive way. You're a fake progressive. Why do people say these things? They use it as attack, right? You're
When
saying as
you
attack. So
hear,
yeah.
and I know exactly who you're talking about, the name shall remain unspoken. Um, when somebody uses a
Well, Anna
label,
Kasparian uses it all the time. You know what I mean? Like
she
she loves that word, fake progressive.
she has her opinions, as everyone does, on how many issues might you care to talk about. You could pick a dozen, you could pick 2 dozen, you could pick 100 different issues. Okay, I'll use myself as an example. All right, I'm nostalgic for natural health. I'm nostalgic for small entrepreneurial independence where getting a job to me is a form of slavery. You go back to the founding of the country, there were no corporations. People went out and got a job. I mean, I'm sorry, they went out and created, their own business.
Right.
They were farmers, they were storekeepers, whatever. Okay. I'm nostalgic for those times. I think we should do everything we can to support small entrepreneurs, sole proprietors, small business, small farms, free press. Okay? That's something that when
So those are the goals of the Progressive Party, right?
So socialism, okay? I'm not for privatizing Social Security. Okay, I don't want to shift the Social Security system over to a corporate monopoly. Okay, that's just shifting power from social bureaucracy to corporate monopoly.
That makes sense, James, but the thing is from your description, right? Like in the end, what you want won't matter because it's up to the people. You get what I mean? So with this new party...
There's a very simple guideline, but here's what I'm saying. You have to get granular. Somebody calls you a Nazi or a fascist or a socialist.
What does it mean, granular?
Granular means details.
I'm sorry, it means
details.
What?
Details. Okay?
It means
what are we talking about? Are you progressive about Social Security? Are you progressive about Medicare? Are you progressive about business? The answer is always very easy to determine if you don't paint somebody with the broad brush. You talk about a specific issue, okay? Are you trying to take power away from big government bureaucracies?
Yeah.
Corporate monopolies and mainstream media, and give it to small community organizations and individuals, okay? If that's what your goal is, that is a progressive view, as defined in the Progressive Party platform of 1912.
Oh, really?
Okay?
Cool. All the way from 1912. I didn't know that.
The problem at the time was that workers and people were getting stomped on. Women weren't allowed to vote. You didn't vote for senators. Your working conditions and your working hours were atrocious. They fought to take control away from government and monopolies. And
so you're saying that this Progressive Party is a revival? It's not a brand new thing. It's a revival from the 1912?
It's playing. It's taking some of those core. They had many successes, and so some of the things that they fought for, they won, and we just take for granted right now. We didn't vote for senators back then. They were chosen by government bureaucrats and party bosses. Okay, they got that success. They got women's suffrage. Women got the right to vote. They got the 40-hour work week. They got worker safety. They were successful in many things. But you have a guideline. We don't want government, media, we don't want big government, big media, and big corporations having the ultimate control. We want the people or local community groups and cooperative action to be where the power is.
Okay. And what do you have to offer people that are interested in becoming a progressive candidate with the Progressive Party? They'll contact you, right? And they could have contacted Green Party, they could have contacted Libertarians, they could have contacted Democratic Party or Republican Party, but they decide to contact you, right? So, besides just believing in what you stand for, right? Do you have anything else that you can offer them?
Yeah, at this point, it's premature, even though I have had conversations with a number of people who are seriously planning, not just talking, but planning to run for Congress in 2022. At the moment, this is just trying to connect with people who have shared ideals. We're not going to agree on every little tiny detail.
Yeah.
Okay? But if we agree that it might make sense to step a bit outside the duopoly of Democrat, Republican, and the weaker parties that might hope to be a third party, the Libertarian, Peace and Freedom, Family Workers Party.
I'm expose you just for a second, yeah? I'm expose you just for a second.
It isn't about...
The thing is that James, right? Like
Let me
I
answer
work
the
with James a
question.
little bit, and James has a team in California that's ready to go. They're ready to
Let me
help
answer
with
the question.
flyers. They're ready to, like, so if you're a
Let
candidate
me
who's interested in
answer
joining
the
the Progressive
question.
Party,
Allow me
James
to
like
answer
has
the
some stuff for
question.
you. Yeah.
Allow me to answer the question. That's premature. The goal is to build connections, build a network, have discussions, talk to people, network with people, encourage people to work locally and have a network of like-minded people so that if somebody comes up tomorrow, that's great. If they come up next month, but the the congressional districts are going to be shuffled in 2021. We need to build a grassroots network of like-minded people who, when the time is right, pop up like mushrooms after a rain, and ideally in 435 districts across the country, as soon as possible, as soon as those districts are redrawn, we have local autonomous groups who will run their local district as they see fit.
Yeah.
And
Word
they
out to all
will
the viewers
choose.
right there. By the way, to keep on top of this particular topic, we're going to be moving on this. James will be moving independently on this. You have the progressiveparty.org website. You said what was what's the
No,
website address again?
progressiveparty.us.
Oh yeah, us. How can people like US, right? How can people contact you directly? They're just watching this video. They got so hot and excited. They can't wait to contact you. How can they get at you?
My personal number has always been public. It's on everything I do. You're welcome to call me.
Okay.
There's a form to join, but we're not in such a rush that we want to get people to commit just because they got excited from the video.
No, but I'm just saying, like, just
Go
reach out. You know what I mean?
look at
Yeah,
go
to build
look
the
at
network, right? Because your original
Right.
thing is that the most important thing right now is to build the network. So I'm also going to tell people to subscribe to Mr. Roguski has his own YouTube channel, right? What is it, James Roguski?
Not really. No, not big on. I'm not big on mainstream media, and I'm not big on um, giving my power over to social media so that they can censor and shut me down.
Well, I expect them to censor and shut us down, and we just have to move to another platform at that time. But the thing is
Well,
that absolutely the network is very important. Once again, please subscribe to my channel. Please link up and share this. For as long as it's allowed to exist, right? I applied to Rockfin, they didn't accept me. Hey, whatever, that's fine. Look, if YouTube shuts off Roguski's stuff, find a way to, you'll have his email. Find a way to get at him. Yeah.
Let me try to answer your question with a specific answer.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The bigger question and the bigger issue, okay, is that because of the fascist control between government, corporations, and the media, okay,
Yeah.
step number one is to try to help raise everyone's awareness of issues that they may be blind to. So
Yeah.
step number one is for everyone, if I could ask any favor of anyone, just go to progressiveparty.us, and if you're all home and you're social distancing and self-quarantining, there's a lot of entertaining and educational information on the website. Go take the time to see what we're all about. Watch the video on the homepage and poke around on the website. There is a lot to learn. If you agree and it sounds good, that's wonderful. If you disagree, we're looking for the criticism and the constructive, suggestions. But worst case scenario, see what this is all about. You will learn something, and if you see anything of value, share it with the next person. This is going to be an underground grassroots movement that grows the way mushrooms grow. You don't know what's happening until they pop up and take over your yard.
Okay, and just the way that James is running that, I really hope you guys get at him. Just so you know, I know it's routine from top of video. I don't really like to repeat myself, but James is very well known for his ability to organize. He's very well known for his work ethic, and he's very well known for creating high quality materials. So, I know you might just not know this just from viewing him, but he's known in my community. So he's a real G. Also, another thing that I want to say very quick is to help pave the pathway for organizations such as yourself. Maybe it be Tulsi Gabbard, who I'm still a huge supporter of, or maybe yourself, like this Progressive Party. I'm also working to try to help push laws that everybody who's running for president or anybody who's running like in a federal. Actually, I just sent out something like anybody who's running in a federal election should be given equal time before the American public. You know what I mean? Or maybe we should say third parties should, there's a way, just the way that there's laws that regulate all all firms, like, in business, you know what I mean? We could say, like, all political parties have to, right, share the stage to a certain extent. All these stupid corrupt games, F all that. So if I can help the progressive in that party in that way, you know what I mean? Or if anybody who's watching, right, is about like election integrity, right, or, like ballot access, that type of thing, you know what I mean? Hit me up, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, me and James have some, that's the way that I could help him in his quest right there, right? And I'll probably be helping him directly as well, you know what I mean? But I'm also looking to build on
And
separate
and
projects that have some other
to
end
give you
goal.
a shout out, Ed, you know, I'm a fan of people making their own media, being the media. If you think that the media and social media are going to help, um, there's some awareness that can be raised if you go to the website. They are not your friends.
You're damn right
They
about that.
have power. They want to keep power. You have to go underground and share this information in a way that they don't even know is happening.
You're absolutely right.
If you're relying on their platforms, you're making a strategic mistake.
And here's something that a lot of our viewers probably notice themselves. Like, because I watch Tulsi videos, they always freaking put me onto Fox News. I never expressed any interest in Fox News at all. The same thing happens to you. You go to YouTube, right? And every single video that they suggest is a freaking Fox News video. You're like, why? Why? I never clicked on Fox, but all of a sudden, there's nonstop barrage of Fox News.
Let me try to give an explanation here. Okay.
They're trying to control us. They're trying to funnel us. They want us to all stay in the same boat. They don't want us talking to other people. Hell no, we busting out. Everybody, right? If you are like someone who believes in this change and you have a friend who's complaining about these progressive issues, they might not think of the word progressive, but if you have a Republican friend that says, F all this corporate stuff, this doesn't make any sense, be like progressiveparty.us, check it out, you know what I mean? Don't, don't pigeonhole someone, don't label someone, give them an opportunity to make their own choices. Progressiveparty.us is pretty hot. And James Roguski, I really appreciate your time and much respect and love for like all the work that you've done, like, for the Tulsi campaign. I recognize, your ability and skill set and your new work afterwards. You know what I mean? We were both like, progressively minded before Tulsi came on scene, and we'll continue to work for those ideals and to bring power back to the people. And thank you for being a true champion.
My phone number's on the website. People think I'm crazy, but 310-619-3055. My email's there. I love people who have ideas, suggestions, criticisms. If you find something on the website that you are, completely and totally opposed to, and you have good information to improve it, that's what progress is. And so this is meant to be open to catalyze every person's passion. Everybody's different. This isn't, the party line. This isn't going to be the Democratic National Committee, the Progressive National Committee telling local people what to do. This is going to be local people autonomously taking control back on a congressional level in an election year following a census under the progressive label, but people who are independently minded, willing to speak truth to power, willing to take on the establishment and say, look, the power needs to come back down to the people.
Hey, that was a wonderful summary right there. I really appreciate your time today. We'll get back for another one. We're going to talk about some more issues. I'm sure we're going to do a lot more episodes. Because there's just so much we have to talk about.
I'm glad we were able to keep it to 20 minutes, but
Oh yeah. But just before we go, is there any like last, just a little note out to the viewers that you want to give a shout out before or anything?
Be well and take care of yourself. All this craziness with COVID-19. The most important thing is to just remember, that we're all human. We're all dealing with stress. Politics of 2022 is not the most important thing right now. The most important thing right now is to reach out to the people that you know, love, and in your community, and help in any way that you can. I'm looking forward to a good and positive future. I'm an optimist. There's a lot of people who are, very frightened and panicked and scared right now. If you have the strength to be strong, then be strong for somebody who needs your strength. This stuff is not the most important thing in the planet, but long term, for a long term goal, it's where I'm putting my energy. But first things first, love the one you're with.
Thank you
Or
for your positive.
would like, or would like to be with, but you can't. You know.
Thank you for that positive message in this time of uncertainty. God bless, my brother. Catch you on the next one. All right.